Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. FPL Consult here, and FPL is back. FPL is back. We are at the Gameweek 9 deadline stream now. So international break is over, right? It seems like it's been an absolute age since Game Week 8 was finished, right? So just a very quick recap for those of you guys who tuned in early. Thank you guys for coming. A very quick recap of Game Week 8. Right, I got 60 points. I played the Wildcard. Unfortunately, didn't captain Salah. I captained Son. Right, but in the end, still a pretty decent green arrow. Right, so I am at 643k in the world right now. Right, so we're gonna take this momentum into Game Week 9. And yeah, for now, this is how the team is set up. So I have Turner and Areola as my keeper pairing. That was my keeper pairing for my wildcard draft already. And I'm going to go with Turner in goal here. I think obviously going to favour him over Areola. But the thing is, with Nottingham Forest, we're not really sure if the game is going to go forward. There was some rumours, but I think for the time being, at least based on the reports of weather currently, right, this morning, it seems as if it's going to be fine. Last night as well, there were some updates on Twitter that it's probably going to go ahead. So I don't think I would worry too much with the Nottingham Forest game and with Turner as well. Right, so Turner in goal. In the backline, Udogi, Medicash, Dan Burn, all home fixtures. In midfield is Almiron, Madison, Salah, Ward-Prowse, and Son. So very obviously now I have the vice-captain's armband on Salah. Right, so for the time being, it seems as if people are. I do imagine that people are gonna ask if you should be captaining Salah or whether you should be captaining Haaland or even Son as well, because he has Fulham at home, right? So all are decent fixtures, and all have decent home fixtures, in fact, right? So let's see. For now, I am pretty likely to captain Haaland. I think for Son, he got a little bit of a niggle during the first half of the South Korean international game, right? But in the second half, he came on, got an assist, got a goal, so he should be fine. But there's always that fear that he's gonna get subbed off at 70 minutes, and that is what kind of puts me off Son, right? And then Salah is the early kickoff, so that's why I have the armband on Haaland for now. I got bitten quite hard by the early kickoff last week when I captained Son, right? So that's that. Up front is Haaland and Watkins. On the bench, I have Areola, Archer, Gehi, and Taylor. Right, so that's how I'm lined up for the time being. Let's say hi to some of you guys in the chat. Hayden Matthews and Cosmos Runner, thank you for coming early. Right, Cosmos says I'm wildcarding today. Came here for your wisdom. Right, so I'll try to put up a Game Week 9 updated wildcard draft in a bit, but I think it's not too different from the video that I put up a couple of days ago. Right. Hayden says I don't like Tsimikas as an option. Too up in the air. Thoughts on Dalot? So I think Manchester United's fixtures are actually better than most of us actually imagine. I know if you wind the clock back to last season, right, and you saw these fixtures for Manchester United, I feel like we would actually have some Manchester United attackers in at least our wildcard drafts. But because of the form right now, it seems as if a lot of us are rightfully so, right, wanting to ignore Manchester United assets. But I think the fixtures are there for them, right? So that's pretty much my thoughts on Dalot. I think he will have the fixtures to perform. And I think generally fixtures will bring form. So that's my thoughts but at the moment, but it's kind of tough to say with Manchester United. They could really go either way. Right, that dressing room is in a little bit of a mess, and also defensively they can always just concede that odd goal with Onana. So he's not very confident, I feel, at this point in time. So he's a little bit of a liability, I feel. Right. As for Simicast though, I think at 4.4 million he's definitely a steal, but I think I do want to see later on today as well whether he starts, and moving forward whether he will get consistent starts, because Klopp is saying that there could be potential that maybe in the back three they may as well just play, you know, Kwanzaa or Gomez as well. It's a possibility. I don't think it's 100% that Simicast comes in for Robertson for all the games, and that's kind of what is putting me off a little bit. But I think in terms of like for like replacement, it's definitely Simicast in for Robertson. So it seems as if he can be a good option. He has the potential to. So on a wild card, I think I may have Simicast. I think if I was on a wild card, I may have Simicast. Keith says, any advice for bench order, Kabori, Archer, Taylor? I would probably put the attacker first. I put Archer first, and then Kabori, and then Taylor. That's probably how I would line it up. Lando says, sorry if I missed this, but are you rolling or making a transfer? So I'm rolling the transfer, taking 2 free transfers into game week 10. Alright, that's when I'm going to want both free transfers to switch up the team a little bit, bring in some Brighton attackers, bring in some Arsenal attackers. That will be the plan for game week 10. Right, their fixtures swing really nicely, so it's time to have 2 free transfers then, right, and then address those fixtures. Captain, Haaland or Salah? Yep, this is obviously a question I expected. Let me put up a poll to see what you guys are doing. Who is your captain? I'll put Haaland, Salah, Son, and other. Let me know who you guys are captaining. For the time being, I have it on Haaland, so I'm obviously gonna say Captain Haaland. I don't think I've looked any other way, to be honest. I don't think I've looked or shifted the armband anywhere else. And to be fair, Everton are a decent defense, right? They're a decent. I'm not saying they're not gonna concede at all, but I think that they are a decent defense, and Salah is the early kickoff. So, who to bench between Morris and Burn? I would probably bench Morris, right? Because I do feel like Burn will keep a clean sheet, and I think Morris playing against Nottingham Forest, I do rate the Nottingham Forest. At least it is a mid-tier defense, so I think I would favour them a little bit more. Is Udogi to Gabriel in game week 10 worth a free transfer? Yes, I would say yes, right? Because for the time being, it seems like Gabriel will continue to be in the starting 11 for Arsenal. So at 4.7, I think there's every reason to, I feel, but I would try to prioritize the higher upside moves, which is the midfield transfers, maybe bringing in Saka, maybe bringing in Mitoma, etc. Should I play Richarlison or transfer him to Neto or Gordon to free up funds? Not too keen on Richarlison, honestly, not too keen on him. So I would probably, I don't think you sell him this week against Fulham. I would say keep him one more game week and then transfer him out after. That would be my thoughts. So you play him this week, and then maybe next week you can offload him to, Gordon if you really want to. If not, Diaby is fine as well. All the sub 7 million midfield options, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. But it seems like it's been so long since we had a stream. It's 2 weeks. This international break actually felt like really, really, really long. I don't know, maybe it's because the football scene did not have much happening. I think injuries wise as well, not too many injuries. Maybe for Robertson, that's the only one that really sticks out. Neymar, obviously that is one of the bigger injuries during the international break, but doesn't affect FPL. But in terms of football in general, he will be a big miss. And yeah, it just felt as if this international break wasn't wasn't very eventful, and that's why finally FPL is back, right? Thankfully FPL is back. Diaby to Mitoma, not this game week at least. He has Man City, so not this game week. Maybe next game week. Vincent says, what are your thoughts when playing the triple captain? So generally, first cut is that I would play it on a double game week. That is just simply because it's double the chance of hauling. And it's just a probability kind of thing. And next up is obviously the fixtures, right? And obviously the player has to be someone that's on penalties. I prefer to have someone that's on penalties, and also the fixtures and the form, right? Those are all the things that kind of play into my mind when I'm thinking about the triple captain. But it's likely not something that I'll think about at least in single game weeks, right? I know a couple of you guys actually captained Haaland when he played against Fulham. Now that one obviously paid off because he scored a hat-trick there, right? But so that one was worked out really well, worked a treat. But I just don't see myself captaining Haaland in a single game week. I mean, let me know what you guys think, but I just don't feel I would be captaining a single game week player when double game weeks are in store in general. Right, later on in the season. FPL Diamond says share the live on Twitter. Yeah, I do. I think I do share it on Twitter. Keith says, should I do Darwin to Watkins if Darwin is benched? Liverpool fixtures for the next few weeks are good. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? So I think you wait. We should get team news. I'm not sure if I'll be streaming until then because we're starting pretty early today. So let's see where this stream takes us, but we should get early team news. So I think you can wait until then. If he doesn't start, I think it's a simple move to do Darwin to Watkins. I've got 2 red flags on bench players, Lamptey and Bayer. Shall I transfer one out for Gusto or Braithwaite to strengthen the bench? If you only have 1 free transfer, I don't think you need to make changes to your bench. I think you leave it as it is. If you have 2 free transfers, I don't mind downgrading maybe a defender to maybe a 4.5 defender to a 4 million or sub 4 million, maybe a 3.9 million Taylor to free up funds, right? Because I know in game week 10 people need funds to make your moves, right? Maybe you want Saka, maybe you want Mitoma, etc. You need funds for that. So I don't mind it if you have 2 free transfers, right? Right, Ricky is in the chat. He's a member as well. So I think I do know that Ricky made a similar move as well, which is to downgrade a 4.5 million Dan Burn to a 3.9 million Taylor. Right, so basically that kind of frees up funds for him to do his game week 10 moves. Right, so that's also something that I think could work for those of you guys with 2 free transfers. But of course, for his situation, he still has Trippier, right? So you do have to take a look at your overall team and see if you are still able to, cover majority of the players that you want to. Is Saka to Rashford sensible right now? Planning to wildcard on game week 9. Saka to Rashford, I don't think it makes sense for now, right? If I had Saka this game week, I'd probably keep him as well. I think there's a good chance he starts. Arteta is always so uninformative, he always just, gives quotes as if he may as well not see anything. But I think Saka starts. Ricky says all the best on your pick for game week 10. If I'm to pick someone that I really want to return this week, I think it has to be Almiron because he's a massive differential for me. That I went for him in game week 8 on a wild card. I really hope Almiron returns. Right, this is the one that I'm counting on. Really hope Almiron returns. Phil Diamond says like, share, subscribe. Right, if you guys haven't liked, if you haven't subscribed, please do subscribe as well. We are on the road to 6,000 subscribers. Right, we're on the road there. Marcus is in the chat as well. Nice to see you. Ricky says probably going with Haaland for my captain. Yep, same here as well. The poll has 69% for Haaland captain. Right, so I do think like that's going to be a popular pick. Right, and I don't think it will be as close as last week where Salah and Son. I mean, Son was the slight favorite. I think there were a good chunk of people who went with Salah as well. If I have 5.3 million in defense, who is the best option? Well, it really depends on on the 4 players that you have in your defense. I would say that in general, for your 4 defenders, and I say 4 because I think you will need to rotate between them, you would ideally want to have Matty Cash. I think Pedro, going for Spurs defenders now, if you're on a wild card, let's say, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. So I think if I were on a wild card, right, let's just say if I was on a wild card, I would have Matty Cash. I would have Trippier as well. I'll try to fit Trippier in. In fact, I am thinking of ways to bring Trippier into my team. Right, so I have Cash, I'd have Trippier. I would also have a Crystal Palace defender because he rotates really well. Right, and then lastly, I think I would have an Arsenal defender. So these would be my 4 defenders. Right, Crystal Palace, Newcastle, Arsenal, and Aston Villa. Right, I think I would go with these 4, and then the last one can be a Taylor, can be a Kabore, whichever that you prefer. But I think in general, I would try to make your first choice 4 defenders that you can rotate, right, out of these 4 teams. Vincent says, for defenders, will you prioritize attacking defenders like Cash, but mind them conceding, right? Or go for clean sheet like Botman? That's a good question. I think in general, the general answer to this question is that you'll go for attacking defenders. But the thing with Newcastle is that they're a very strong defensive outfit. So, defensive numbers wise or clean sheets wise, you would expect them to keep clean sheets. So I think I would say in general, I target attacking players. But if the team has a very strong defensive record or good defensive numbers, I don't mind going for them as well. Right, and in fact, what I consider more is that rotation between my 4 defenders. Is it good? And do they take me through a good chunk of future game weeks? Right, that's how I think about my defensive pairings. Phil Diamond says, unpopular opinion, TAA is going to be big in demand within the next few game weeks. I don't think he's reachable, right? As you mentioned, I don't think a lot of teams can fit Trent in. If you fit Trent into your team, firstly, I don't think he justifies the price tag. He's very expensive. Secondly, Liverpool's defensive numbers don't convince me as much. So clean sheets wise, I don't think he'll get that many, and that obviously restricts his haul potential. And then attacking numbers wise, I think that's where he does pretty well. But yeah, I don't think he does enough. I don't think he does enough to warrant that price tag. And then you would be sacrificing an 8 million midfielder, right? Whichever it is, maybe Maddison or even Jarrod Bowen, maybe if you want him for the West Ham fixtures. These are players you may have to sacrifice if you want to go for Trent, right? So I'm not keen on that. I'm not keen on it, but I can understand why some people will want to try and get ahead of the curve and go with Trent. I personally wouldn't though. GV says, do you think one should hold Saka instead of selling him and getting him back later? 100%. If I had Saka now in Gameweek 9, I wouldn't be selling him. I wouldn't be selling him. Son or Maddison to Saka? That's a good question. For my team, I actually haven't decided. I I would say for the time being, if I want Saka, it seems as if I have to sell Son. Now that is not ideal, but I think that's the only way I get to keep the other players that I want, right? So I think it may have to be Son, right? If I sell Saka, but for those of you guys with options, I would obviously or with money, I would prefer to sell Madison and keep Son, right? If I get to choose, and money is not an issue, I would choose to keep Son. Our says bench Gordon, DS, cash. This one is a tough one. I would start DS. I think DS starts as well. Gordon and cash. I mean, you have to start cash though. Maybe you bench Gordon. Maybe you bench Gordon. Diaby is a good asset for this game week 9. I don't think you need to transfer him in this game week, but game week 10 onwards, you could argue. I think Diaby is in my thoughts for sure. He is in my thoughts. Some of the players for game week 10 that I'm thinking about are the Arsenal players. So one of Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli. I would try to go for at least one of them. For the time being, I prefer Saka out of the three. And then Brighton players are on my mind as well. So Mitoma, maybe a March, but probably Mitoma is preferred as well. And then Diaby and Bowen. These are the groups of players that I'm thinking about. And of course, all at different price points. So I have to try and fit all of them in. And I only have 2 free transfers in game week 10, assuming I roll in game week 9, which is likely what I'm going to do. I only have 2 free transfers. I need to play around. Maybe take a -4 and do three changes, but I don't think that's necessary. So I'll have to assess the situation once we get more news from game week 9. By the way, for those of you guys who just joined, if you haven't liked the stream, please do like it as well so that we can push the stream to more viewers. I have no idea how the YouTube algorithm works, but I think likes work. Trippier, Shah, Cash, Udogi, who do I bench? I think you start Cash and you start Udogi as well. Maybe you bench Shah, just for a little bit of defensive hedging. Moyes has instructed James Ward-Prowse to sit deeper with Alvarez while allowing Souček to go into the number 10, driving forward, just like Moyes used Fellaini. Right, so I do understand, right, that since Souček has come in, he has been getting into those attacking positions. So I think it's definitely something that I will have to pay attention to in this West Ham game coming up on Sunday. I think it's the only game on Sunday, in fact. Right, so I will have to pay attention, and if that is the case, I may take Ward-Prowse out. I may do that. But for the time being at least, I think I would go for, at least in game week 10, right, I would go for Saka and Mitoma if I could. Right, so those would be my moves. FPL Diamond says everyone will change their tune. Right, I mean, there's every chance that's possible. I think I understand why people would do it as well. I just wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't spend that money on Trent. Start Cash or James Ward-Prowse. Cash has better attacking data. I would start Cash over James Ward-Prowse. Madison to Diaby. Yeah, that's a potential move for game week 10. Not for game week 9. Saka is a better option than Martinelli. I still think so. I mean, even though there's a chance that he passes penalties on to other players, I still think he's better to own than Martinelli. Sugarbender says, hey, sorry I'm late. Is Son to Salah worth a -4? If you're captaining Salah, I would say it's worth it. If not, I don't think I would make that move. Son has Fulham, right? Son has Fulham. John David says, my midfield right now is Madison, Son, Neto, Mbeumo, and Salah. Thinking of a change of Son to Odegaard and Cash for -4 in total, but long-term holds. Is that a good idea? I don't think it's a good idea for this game week at least. I don't think I would take a -4 to remove Son, right? Especially now when he has Fulham at home. I think those moves can wait one more game week. Yep, I think it can wait one more game week. Will Saka start? I doubt we will get. Let me just check our team news. But I doubt we will get Arsenal news. The news that I think we will get is the Liverpool news, right? Whether Darwin Núñez starts. I think that's the one that we will get. Yeah, nothing for the moment, and not that I expect anything, but I just wanted to check to make sure. But yeah, I think we would get Liverpool news, I'm pretty sure, and the Liverpool leaks are pretty reliable as well, so Shokoshka is a good asset for the long term. I mean, I think there are better keepers to go for, right? Especially when Turner is still keeping his place. I think there are better keepers to go for. Areola as well, really cheap. I would prefer these two keepers. Game week 10 for Trippier plus Neto to Gabriel and Saka. I think it's very possible to sell Trippier in game week 10, right? I received a couple of these questions thinking forward whether you want to sell Trippier in game week 10. I think it allows you to revert to a lot of what people in game week 8 or game week 7, if you went for a no Trippier draft and you went with Burn, right? By doing Trippier and Neto to Gabriel and Saka, you basically switch your draft to a similar one than if you didn't go with Trippier in the first place, which I think firstly a lot of people are already on that. I think not a lot of people are on a Trippier draft, and secondly, I don't see that Trippier is absolutely essential from game week 10 onwards. The Newcastle fixtures aren't 100% necessary. They're not the best, right? They're not the best. Let's pull them up. Right, it's decent, but it's not the best, right? It's Wolves and Arsenal. Then after that, it's Bournemouth, Chelsea, Man United, Everton, and then Spurs. So it's throughout this run, there's every chance that Trippier can haul, but I just wouldn't go so far as to say that he's absolutely essential, and that's why I think you can sell him, and there is a case to sell him, right? And then you bring in Gabriel and Saka, where Arsenal's fixtures are so much better. I think for this period at least, you can go without Trippier. So I think I don't mind that move at all. Chris says, hello all, who would you bench this week from Trippier, Burn, Udogi, or Cash? I'm stuck. You definitely play Trippier and you definitely play Cash. So it's whether you want to double up on Newcastle defense or have Udogi in as the third defender. I would say hedge your bets a little bit and go for Udogi and then bench Burn. That's what I would do. Bench one of Mbeumo, Foden, Alvarez, Sterling. I guess Sterling is the most benchable one. Mbeumo has Burnley this week. Foden and Alvarez have Brighton. I'm not sure we get early team news for Man City though. So you may have to take a chance that Foden starts. Simicas or Pedro Porro. This week I prefer Pedro Porro. What about Jensen? Matthias Jensen, I don't think he gets... I mean, I know he has been picking up some goals here and there, but I don't think he gets returns consistently. So at least that doesn't make him an option for me at least. Wildcard draft. Right, I can put up a wildcard draft in a bit. Simicas or Pedro Porro or Udogi for game week 9. My preferred one would be Pedro Porro for game week 9. Yeah. What about Jota? I think Jota starts. I think Jota starts ahead of Nunes, in fact. Saka will be on the bench in best case scenario and play some 15 minutes if required. Arteta wouldn't risk it as it's a hamstring injury. Possible. But my guess is that if he's even the slightest bit fit, I think he will play. That's just my guess. Haaland or no Haaland? This one, honestly speaking, the Haaland or no Haaland debate, to me, feels as if it's more a question of what kind of FPL player are you, right? If you're one that just, really plays the fixtures and you don't really, bother about what other people are doing, then there's every chance that you can just go high risk and go without Haaland. I think there's proper justification for it, I feel. But knowing how I am as an FPL manager, I would just have Haaland. And in fact, if you're on a wildcard in Gameweek 9, I actually do feel like you would favour a Haaland draft because of this Brighton fixture. Salah or Haaland captain? I would say Haaland. I'm on Haaland right now. 67% of you guys are on Haaland as well. 142 votes. Is there any team news? Not at the moment. Not to worry, I'm checking, but I'm not sure if we will receive any before the time that I stop streaming. Right? If we want to get leaks, we will have to wait until very, very close to the deadline, but I think we probably will end the stream a bit later since we're starting quite early today. Sorry, we'll end the stream a bit earlier today. But for the time being, I don't expect anything. Yep, so Mark says, thoughts on Salah captain this week and in game week 10. Tsimikas and Gabriel for Gehi and Udogi. Salah captain this week, firstly is the early kickoff. So if you're fine to go against what has always been happening, the early kickoff blanks, then, I can understand that. And against Everton, I would say that Everton aren't the worst defense in the league. Right? That's what I would say. I think that their numbers are decent. It's just that Pickford, I know for those of you guys who have had Pickford, you haven't gotten a lot of clean sheets, but they have not conceded a tremendous amount of XGC as well. How about Neto for Almiron only for this game week? So 1 week punts. My favorite 1 week punts would be there's Pedro Neto. Huang is also an option, but I prefer Neto over Huang. There are other options like Morgan Gibbs White if you want to go very, very different. Someone else that I think will be very under the radar that I think will do well this game week is actually Højlund, right? From Manchester United. I think he could do well against Sheffield United, right? So there's also other differentials or 1 week punts you can consider. Bench Gabriel or Botman? I would bench Gabriel. I'll bench Gabriel because I think if Botman is fit, I think he plays the whole game. I don't see a situation where he subs on for the last few minutes. So you could just start Botman, bench Gabriel, and if Botman doesn't start, you just automatically sub Gabriel in. Eddie says, do I start Luis Diaz and roll? I think we should get team news for the Liverpool attack. So I think I'll wait in general. But for your case, you say Gabriel will come in. Your future moves are also decent, I think. I think you wait for Liverpool team news, right? Which is why I think a lot of people with players like Diaz, players like Darwin Núñez, I think you wait for the team news before you make the transfers. Let's see how long we can stream until. Let's see how long we can stream for, but hopefully I can stream until we get the team news, right? But for those of you guys who aren't aware, where I get my team news, right, is basically that I have a list. I'm going to put it on the screen right now. You can go over to my Twitter, and I have a list that looks something like this, right? So you go over to my profile, and I have a list here. It's public. There are 31 members in this list, and basically these are all sources that I trust, right? Sources of all the different team leagues that we've been getting for a couple of seasons now already. So if you head over there, you follow this list, right? There are currently 420 people that are following this list. So if you head over there, you will get it fed to you, and that's pretty much where this is where I refer to get my leaks. So if we end the stream early and I don't make it in time to show you guys the leaks, at least you guys will be able to check it out for yourselves, right? So hopefully this would be useful for those of you who want your team leaks, or if you have Liverpool players, I would think you're very invested in the leaks this week. Would you wildcard, and when? I wildcarded in game week 8 already, so my first wildcard has been used. I think a captain on Haaland, and if he returns to Hall, will change the rankings of those who opted out of Haaland by a lot. Exactly. And I do feel like Haaland is the best captain option this week, right? I do think he's the best captain option this week. Famous last words. Choose one of Bruno Fernandes or Luis Diaz or Darwin. I would say Bruno Fernandes. Go for Bruno Fernandes. The team is similar as mine. I followed yours last week when you wildcarded. So you rolled your transfer. Yep, I'm planning to roll my transfer. If you followed my team last week, I'm planning to roll the transfer this week. Game week 10, Tsimikas and Gabriel for Gehi and Udogi. Surely you'll be wanting to make more attacking moves. Surely. Turner, Flecken, Udogi, Cash, Trippier, Shah, Tsimikas, Neto, Almiron, Salah, Son, Madison, Darwin, Wissel, Watkins. Can this team bench boost? I think the fixtures look really good though, right? I see that you have quite a number of Brentford assets. Even your fringe players like Tsimikas, Neto, Almiron, they all have decent fixtures. So I can see the temptation. For it. I probably wouldn't, but I think I would understand if you played it in the end. 135 watching. Let's get 75 likes. If you guys are watching and you haven't liked, please do drop a like on the stream. It really, really helps the channel. Thoughts on Lyle Foster, underrated at 5.0 million, has only blanked 5 out of the 2 games, blanked twice out of the 8 games he's played. I would say that in general, I just wouldn't, I would think of him more as an enabler. I don't think he's a forward that we go out to buy, right? But in terms of him as an enabler, I think okay, there's a couple of options or alternatives that I'm thinking about. So there's Lyle Taylor. There's also in the midfield sub 5 million picks. There are players like Souček and also players like Palmer as well. Right, so if I were to rank these options, I would say that my most preferred one is actually Souček, and then followed by Palmer, and then Lyle Foster. Right, so that would be my thinking when I talk about enablers, or I think about enablers. So I don't mind Lyle Foster, and if your enabler is needed in the forward position, then I don't mind him. But if you're not going to play him most weeks, then what I would think about is it just worth it to go for Archer instead, save the 0.5 million, and how often will you really play Lyle Foster to begin with? Bench Neto, Bowen, and Højlund. I would start Højlund. I would start Neto as well. Maybe bench Bowen it could sound crazy, but maybe I would. It is tough. It is tough because they play Aston Villa as well. But Højlund and Neto have such great fixtures. Double up on Newcastle defense this week. I don't mind it this week, but if you're on a wild card, I wouldn't do that. Nunes or Højlund. I would be more confident of Højlund starting this week, but we will get leaks on Nunes. So let's see. Joseph says, what do you think of wildcard in Game Week 10, bench boost Game Week 12? Loads of cheap, popular wildcard picks are playing. I planning on free hitting with the big double game week. So this is an interesting strategy. I've heard of it, or I read of it on Twitter. I would say that I still prefer a bench boost in a double game week. Right, that's just the kind of player that I am. But I do understand that you can set your Game Week 10 wildcard up for a bench boost in Game Week 12 or even 11 as well. Right, it's possible. I just don't think there's enough upside for me to... I just don't think there's enough upside for me to use it right now. Modern Mindset says you look super humble. God bless you, love from Nepal. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Ron says start Botman or buy Simicas. I think Botman is a little bit of a doubt, and if you need a third defender, then maybe you can go for Simicas. Right. Solanke or any other striker on a 7.3 million budget. If you are looking for a 1 week punt with a 7.3 million budget, I would be tempted to go for Højlund. Let me just check how much he is. 7.2. You could go for Rasmus Højlund. 7.2 million. I think this is my preferred 1 week punt, potentially. If you have 7.3 million, it seems like you can afford this. Right, so as you guys can see, I have 1 free transfer, right, and 0.1 in the bank. So the plan for Game Week 10, right, roll the transfer in Game Week 9. The plan for Game Week 10 is a double change to bring in those Arsenal players. So that's what I plan to do. That's what I plan to do. Which combo is the best? Martinelli and a 4 million defender, or Mitoma and Zinchenko with 2 free transfers next game week. Can't get the Saka as money is tight. I would definitely try to get a Arsenal attacker. So even if it means Martinelli and a 4 million defender, I think I would do that. I think I would do that. Good morning. Who should be on the bench for this game week? Son, Madison, Bowen. Wow. Definitely the Spurs assets have to start. I think you bench one of either the West Ham assets or the Aston Villa assets. I'll leave that to you. Pete says, good morning. It's actually evening here, but good morning. Bench one of Udogi, Cash, Simicas, or Dalot, or play all 4, switch to a 4-4-2, and bench James Ward-Prowse. This is an interesting one. I would be tempted to play the 4-4-2. I'll be tempted to do the 4-4-2. Ramadian says 122 is kind of a record. We should celebrate. Thank you very much. I think I have hit one of the streams last season. I think Game Week 15 or something last season. I think I hit a couple hundred, maybe 200 to 300 viewers at one point in time, and that was massive. That one, I think it was a big week. It was a wildcard week or something like that, and not a lot of people were streaming. At least not the other bigger YouTubers as well, right? And then everyone came into the stream, 200, 300 plus. So that one really helped the channel. So have to say that was a good stream. That was a good one. But this one's great as well. I mean, thank you guys for coming down. 100 plus of you guys. So if you haven't liked, you haven't subscribed, please do help out the channel. And we're gonna try and aim for 10,000 subscribers. That is the aim for this season. So I've received a couple of comments as well asking what is the aim for this season, where do I see the channel going. I just hope to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of the season. That's just my aim. I mean, it is a stretch. I know it'll be a stretch, but I will just continue to plug away, uploading the content. There will be it's a good time for me to let you guys know as well. There will be a new series coming up. I think from Game Week 10 onwards, hopefully, if I'm able to. If not, the latest will be Game Week 11, where I take your questions, any questions that you comment on any videos, on any of the social media platforms, whether it's on Instagram, Twitter, anywhere, any of your comments, I'll just answer your questions in a video. So somewhat like a preview kind of video, right? But I would just title it as your questions, and I'll be answering your questions. And it kind of just gives me the platform to talk about general things instead of just talking about, wildcard videos, template teams or transfers. I do want to let you guys have a chance to ask the questions that you want to ask, and also have a platform to share a little bit different things aside from what I've already been sharing. So hopefully you guys are excited for that one. It will come soon. It will come soon. Any defender punts? Don't want to sell Foden for weaker attacking teams. You're wildcarding in Game Week 10. Defender punts, I think Dalo is okay for one game week. If not, defenders wise, I would really just try to target the existing attacking options that we have, like Cash, Udogi, Poro. If you really want a super good defensive punt that you can afford, I would try Trent Alexander-Arnold, or else maybe Tsimikas, right? What's your predicted score this week? Right, let me pull up Fantasy Football Hub. Let's take a look at the predicted score for my team. I think it's 66, if I'm not wrong. Right, let's pull up the Fantasy Football Hub. So, Captain Haaland, Vice Captain Salah. I'm on 66.9. Yep, it's here, 66.9. This is my predicted points for Game Week 9. Actually, it's a good time for me to show you guys potentially what I plan to do in Game Week 10 as well. So fast forward to Game Week 10, I would remove either one of Madison or Son. So I haven't played around with it a lot yet, because I want the information from Game Week 9 before I make my decisions. But at least if I sell Son, right? So let's sell Son. Let's play around with it for a bit. Sell Son, I bring Saka in. I have an extra 1 million. I can keep Madison. I can sell Ward-Prowse for Jarrod Bowen if he's not 7.4. Yeah, I can do Ward-Prowse to Jarrod Bowen. This way I have to keep Madison. I have to keep Almiron as well. But it's not the end of the world, right? Wolves away for Almiron. It's not the worst fixture in the world. I can keep Madison for Crystal Palace away. So this is one of the combinations I can go for. But ideally, I mean, if I already have James Ward-Prowse, let's say I keep him. By the way, if you guys have any recommendations, just let me know. But assuming I keep James Ward-Prowse, I will sell Almiron for Mitoma. This way. So I'll have extra 0.6. Many ways I can go about doing this. If I want to double up on West Ham, I can also go Madison to Jarrod Bowen in Game Week 11 after these moves. So loads of options, to be honest. And this is assuming I want Saka. Right? If I want Martinelli, then that changes it a little bit as well. let's get to some of your questions. When are you planning to bring in Brighton assets when they start their fixture swings? Yeah, from game week 10, I think you can bring Brighton assets in already. From game week 10, right? So from game week 10, Mitoma has Fulham, Everton, Sheffield, Nottingham Forest, and then they play Chelsea away and Brentford at home. You see, it's a sea of green for Mitoma's predicted points as well. So it just makes so much sense to go for Brighton assets in game week 10. It's a very logical move that I think I will end up making, but I definitely have to sacrifice the other players that I'm going for. I mean, if I think about it, I mentioned just now that there were a couple of groups of players. So the Arsenal players, say I want to go for Saka and I sell Son, that's settled. I have an Arsenal attacker. Diaby, I already have Watkins. I can choose not to go for Diaby. Bowen, I may want to consider bringing him in. So if I go for Mitoma and Saka, the only real player that I'm missing is Jarrod Bowen, actually. Right, so maybe I would stick to that, right? For now, at least that's kind of what I prefer. Best 4 million defender to own short period of time for now, and then... Okay, let's see. From game week 10, sub 4 million defenders, there's not really a lot, to be honest. It's Taylor, it's Kabore. I don't think there's a lot. Let me just pull up. I wouldn't go for Van Heck though. I wouldn't go for Van Heck. Neither would I go for Johnny Evans. Right. 238 votes. People have done a hop in and hop out but voted. That's generally how it is with streams though. But I really appreciate for those of you guys who at least tune in to just have a chat, you know, mull about FPL and all the stresses that we have before every single deadline. I think there's a little bit of joy in that as well. Right? That's kind of what I enjoy. Just chatting FPL with you guys who come down, and enjoying the whole process basically. Hey Leon, I'm wildcarding in game week 10 and was wondering which option is the best. Colwell to Tsimikas, Sterling to Neto/Wang for a 1 week punt. Love your content, by the way. Thank you very much. I would say Colwell to Tsimikas wouldn't be as high an upside move as Sterling to a Wolves player. That's my thoughts. So I think for the time being, what I would prefer is Sterling to Neto. That would be my favorite move. Mr. Wright says start Foden or Darlow. Foden, I would say Foden. How to join your team leaks list. So you basically go to my profile and you just search the lists that I have. You have to go to my profile and click I think there's a hamburger icon or something somewhere, and you can click it. Let me see if I can put the link in the chat. Copy link. Alright, yeah, let me just spam it in the chat, or I'll pin it in the chat. For those of you guys who want those team leaks, these are all the sources that I have. Not really sources, I mean they're just accounts that I've put together on Twitter. Gabriel or Zinchenko, who is nailed? Neither of them, to be honest. Neither of them. They are the highest at risk. But if I were to say who is at least more nailed, is tough, but I think Zinchenko is a little bit more nailed than Gabriel. James Ward-Prowse to Mitoma or roll transfers. Roll transfers. I have Burn, Shah, Udogi, and Cash. Fantasy Football Hub tells me to bench Cash. Is that the way to go? I don't think so. I would bench either Burn or Shah. Probably Burn. I'll probably bench Burn. Wildcard draft. Alright, I'll pull it up in a bit. I don't know why Rasmus Højlund is underrated this game week. Exactly. I mean, I don't mind him at all. I don't mind him at all. I actually recommend him as a 1 week punt for those of you guys with enough money to afford it. Right, so if I were to build a Game Week 9 wildcard, let's take a look. Let me just pull up. If you guys have recommendations on who you want to be included in the wildcard draft, let me know as well. Let me know as well. It's I'm keen to hear what you guys think. Right, so this is my team for Game Week 9. If I were to wildcard this week, I would have Turner and Areola. I think Haaland and Watkins are also players that I would have. So up front, I think is fine. Archer is also an enabler. I don't think I would go for a 3-4-3. Right, so this kind of leaves me with Haaland, Watkins, and then Archer as the front three. Keepers, I would stay with these. I think I would have an Arsenal defender, right? And I would have Trippier as well. So let's put Trippier in. I wouldn't have Gehi. I would have Tsimikas here. And I would have an Arsenal defender, say Gabriel. Right, so this is likely what the bench would look like. I think the bench is pretty much going to stay the same. Backline, Trippier, Cash, and Tsimikas. Right, this would be what I'm going for. In midfield, you definitely have to have You definitely have to have Salah, right? And then Spurs assets as well. I don't think I would have Almiron. Potentially a Neto, potentially, or a Gordon. That's possible as well. Let me just try and play around with it, and let's try to take Trippier out, right? Because he obviously limits this draft to what it can achieve. So let's say I do Trippier to Burn. Bowen here. My team value isn't that high as well, right? So for those of you guys who have more money than me, you can afford a better draft. So I would try to say at least a minus 0.5 maximum, right? Should still be affordable for you guys because my team value isn't that high, right? So I don't think I would have Madison and Son. So I would potentially have I mean, maybe Madison here, and then in game week 10, you change Madison to Saka. So leave some money in the bank. So I think potentially this is something that it can look like. Alternatively, you can go for Souček here. And then you would have more money. Right, so I think this is something that it could look like. A game week 9 wildcard with the idea to bring Mitoma and also Saka in future game weeks. Right, so let's say in game week 9 you wildcard and this is your team. Come to game week 10, you could sell Son for Saka, let's say. Alright, and have a pretty decent team as well. You would start Gabriel ahead of Souček maybe. And then come game week 10, you can sell Madison for Mitoma. And then obviously by then you would have all the assets that you want already. So pretty decent, to be honest. I actually don't mind this wildcard at all in game week 9. So let me know what you guys think. Any other players that you would go for? FPL Diamond says his team value is only 102.3 million. Well, mine is 101 million with 0.1 million in the bank. So it's really low. So I'm sure that you guys can afford this draft as well. Right, and I do know that my team value may affect me moving forward, but for now at least it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Right, so there we go. This is your wildcard draft. Let me know what changes you would make. Joshua Go says, sup man, happened to be dropping by. Tell you for your stream. Thank you very much. Thank you for dropping by. Will Richarlison play? I think so. There's a good chance. I mean, who else do they have? Perisic is out. Manor Solomon is out as well. Nazif says, are you from Singapore? Yes, I am from Singapore. It's raining heavily now. So the weather here isn't too good for the time being. Johnstone or Areola to start? Tough one. They both have tough fixtures this game week. Maybe Areola, because I'm pretty certain that Newcastle scores, so I don't think Crystal Palace keep a clean sheet. Thank you, FPL Diamond, for being so aggressive with the likes. Really appreciate it. We're currently sitting at 64 likes as well, so thank you guys for that. Salah in for Bruno or Son? Thing is, both Bruno and Son have good fixtures this game week, so I don't think I will force myself to bring Salah in this week. Steven says, good morning, Foden or Mbeumo. What about a wildcard in game week 12? I have a team value of 101.8 and 0.8 in the bank. So once again, another FPL manager with more team value than me. So I'm very, very sure that you guys can afford a more expensive draft, right? But Foden or Mbeumo this week, I will start Foden. And I think Mbeumo is worth a start as well. Let's see if you can bench someone else, right? What about a wildcard in game week 12? I think there's a potential for you to wildcard in game week 10 if you need. Game week 12 is not bad as well. What do I aspire to be when I grow up? Well, hopefully, if the YouTube channel is big enough, hopefully we can do this full time, right? I'm not sure if it's possible. I mean, it's for the time being, I don't think it's possible. But with the growth and what it can bring, hopefully we can get to somewhere with FPL. That would be the hope. Good to hear it's already raining there. All grasses turn yellow and white here in Jakarta. I'm pretty sure it hasn't rained for a while actually. So this is rare. We've been having really, really hot days here in Singapore. Alright, let me check on the team news, which I don't expect there to be a lot. Don't expect there to be a lot of team news now. Right, so actually we have some confirmation that we will get leaks. Let me just pull up the Twitter page. Right, so for those of you guys who want to join the team leaks list, I have it pinned in the chat, so you can check it out. But for the time being, right, Focal is live as well. Focal is live and he has his ears to the ground for early team news, etc. So FPL Sam, right, who's a very, very reliable team leak source, says, give us leaks that come in later, don't worry, right? So I'm pretty sure a lot of us will be waiting for his leaks. And another very reliable Liverpool leak source is actually this account, right? Spy on Cop. This is the one that gives really reliable team news as well. Right, so we'll keep a lookout for this list. We'll refresh it now and then, and hopefully we get some leaks. Right. But yeah, let's keep it at this for now. Who to start, Simicast or Udogi? Tough one. I would say I'll say Udogi. I mean, marginally. FPL Diamond says should link up with FPL Friend, FPL Mez, FPL Planner. They've been supportive, etc. So the thing is, I actually have plans to do some collaborations. I'm in contact with some of the other YouTubers. I plan to start the collaborations if everything goes to plan. At the midpoint of the season. Right? Because currently it's a little bit too tight. Game Week 10 content is already going to be massively centered around wildcarders, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people have been saving a wildcard from Game Week 10, where the massive fixture swing comes. So for that one, I think it'll come too early, but collaborations are definitely on my mind, so I think it will come soon. Hopefully we get some guests on the channel and we'll link up with them, chat a little bit about FPL. Hope you guys are interested in that as well. If I was certain Salah scores a brace today, obviously I would captain him. Obviously. Praz is good as well. Praz is amazing. If and when we start the collaborations, if I can get as many guests on the channel, I will try to get those ones that you guys know of as well. If they are keen to come down onto the channel for a chat, I'll try to get them down as well. Okay, let me just pull up the... Right, let me pull up... Give me a moment. Something's coming on through Twitter. Alright, so I'm going to put this up on stream. Let's see what you guys make of it. FPL Luke, right, or Luke from Scout basically, it just says this is a likely 11 according to FPL Main Road. Now FPL Main Road is the main source for City team leagues, and he says that there is input on this prediction by FPL Main Road. Right, so he and I are skeptical due to the omission of DS and Edison. He's not 100% on Ortega. He doesn't seem to miss. Right, so I don't wish to take any credit if correct. So Ortega, interestingly, Vardiol, Akanji, and Walker. So no DS, which is very interesting. And then Rodri and Stones, followed by Foden, Alvarez in the midfield positions, and Bernardo Silva, Jeremy Doku, and Erling Haaland. So this is interesting. Let me know what you guys make of this. This is, of course, still a mix of predictions and a mix of leaks as well. So let's see what comes of it. Some people say Salah and Robbo are doubt due to them not training yesterday. Robbo is confirmed. Did Salah train yesterday? So the thing is, I don't think I've received any major news about Salah not training yesterday. I mean, even if he doesn't, he did train with the team when they came back. Let me just look for that tweet. Let me put it back to the screen first. I do think that he trained in the first training when that they had when they came back from the international break. So I just can't find the account, but I do I do know that he did train immediately when he came back from the international break. So at least for the time being, I don't seem to think that Salah is a doubt. Right, so FPL Main Road has now come out and said something about the prediction by Luke. So as mentioned, a couple of surprises I'm skeptical of. The setup is a toss-up between 3 back or 4 with Stones dropping in. Okay. This is not 100% as I can't see a reason why Edison wouldn't play despite not being part of the tactical setup squad. Right, so there we go. Seems as if this is going to be the case. Alright, I mean obviously this is a prediction. This is not a leak. Right? So I don't think we would get any for the time being. It will probably be closer to the deadline. Right? So I think I may end the stream in a couple minutes. Right? We've streamed for quite a while now, about an hour or so. So I think I'll leave the leaks to those of you guys who want to have the leaks. I'll leave the link as I mentioned here in the pinned comment. So check it out if you want. I'll spam it a little bit more for those of you who can't see. This is the list of the leaks, right? If you guys are interested. What do? I have 1 free transfer and 0.2 million in the bank. I was thinking Flecken or Mbemo out. My team is Areola, Flecken, Taylor, Gehi, Shah, Cash, Udogi, Mbemo, Saka, Madison, Salah, Diaby, Watkins, Haaland, Archer. I don't think you need to take Mbemo out this week, especially since he has Burnley. I don't think you need to make any moves, to be honest. Thoughts on my team? Onana, Turner, Trippier, Variol, Anderson, Baldock, Sula. 1 free transfer, Wildcard in Gameweek 10. Okay. I would start Turner ahead of Onana. Trippier, I would start. Variol seems to be starting based on this prediction here. Anderson has Newcastle, so I wouldn't play him. Baldock's injured as well. So I think it's Udogi, Variol, and Trippier as your back line. Saka, Fernandes, Mbeumo, Kulusevski, and Madison, Haaland, Watkins. Yeah, I think that's fine. So your 1 free transfer actually, for a punt, what can you do? Potentially do Vardiol to Tsimikas maybe, and then start Tsimikas as a little bit of a differential for defenders, because I think your midfield seems fine, right? Or if you want to take Saka out, potentially you go for Neto, maybe Gordon if you want, right? Or I mean, I don't think the punts in midfield are very Morgan Gibbs-White is also someone that's decent, right? But I think the punts in midfield are pretty cheap this week, right? Because majority of those expensive or premium assets all have decent fixtures. Okay, that's pretty much it. I think I'm going to leave it as that. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate every single one of you for coming down and chatting. I think for the time being, this is going to be my team. Let me just refresh and confirm it. So Turner, Udogi, Cash, and Burn. Almiron, Madison, Salah, Vice Captain, Ward-Prowse, and Son. Up front, Watkins, Haaland, Captain. On the bench, it'll be Areola, and then Archer, Gehi, and Taylor. I think that my team actually pretty much picks itself. And my transfers next game week are the ones that will be pretty exciting. So stay tuned for that. I'll try and fit as many of the players that I want in the team. All right, so there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Do drop a like. Do subscribe as well if you haven't. And yeah, I'll catch you guys for Game Week 10 content. All the best for Game Week 9. If you do want your team leagues, you can click the link in the pinned comment, and everything will be there. Right, so I'll catch you guys in more Game Week 10 content that will be coming soon, right? And do look out for the new series. When it launches, it'll be either Game Week 10 or Game Week 11. And if there are future collabs as well, I'll let you guys know on my socials, etc., on YouTube, in the community tab as well. I'll let you guys know. Right, but for now, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys next week. Bye bye.